Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, no one ever makes it hot enough? Okay then, you asked for it. A bee sting and a fire truck, when entitlement turns to embarrassment. Sure, sign me up. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. No one ever makes it hot enough? Okay then, you asked for it. I used to be a chef in a Mexican restaurant in a small town in Australia nearly 40 years ago. We were modestly popular and I loved working there. One night a young man came in to dine with a young lady. It was very obviously a first date. They ordered a nachos to share with a side of jalapenos for their entree, and he ordered a steak Veracruz, hot, for his main, and the young lady ordered a chicken burrito, mild, for hers. I, as I usually did throughout the night, would walk around the tables and ask if people were enjoying the food. After the nachos, I checked on them and the young man informed me that the chili that accompanied the nachos were not hot at all and that he loved hot food. I was informed that he had traveled extensively and had eaten some of the hottest food in the world and that no one had ever made a dish too hot for him. He reiterated that he wanted his steak main extra hot. To be honest, I found him to be pompous and rather obnoxious in the way he was speaking down to me and found myself taking a disliking to him. I will add at this point that the young lady was looking a little uncomfortable and I got the impression her date was not going as she had expected. I headed to the kitchen. I made her a lovely chicken burrito while putting together his steak. He wanted it hot? He was going to get it. Our steak Veracruz was usually a steak cooked and topped with our house tomato sauce base with some capsicums, bell peppers for you Americans, and onions with a touch of chili. On this occasion I set to work. Keep in mind this was Australia back in the 80s and we did not get a lot of different chilies back then, and a jalapeno was considered hot by most Aussie palates. Hey, we were an uneducated bunch. I had a few bird's eye chilies in the kitchen that were mainly there for the staff and the resident Mexican guitarist's meals, so I started with those. I finally diced about 10 of those with their seeds. I then started sweating off my onions and capsicums. I then threw in the chilies and then I added about a tablespoon of chili powder and about a tablespoon of cayenne. I soon felt the fumes hit my nose and the back of my throat and my eyes started watering. I ran to the door of the kitchen to get a breath of breathable air as the air in my tiny kitchen was rapidly becoming unbreathable. I ran back to my pan and put a ladle of the house tomato sauce in. I then let that simmer for a few minutes. I then added some chopped up jalapenos from a jar in my fridge and thought why not, and in went a bit more chili powder. I then put the flash fried steak in to finish it off in the sauce. I served it all up on a plate with some rice, served up the chicken burrito and hit the bell for the waitress to serve it to the table. The waitress came back and told me that as she placed it in front of him he said this had better be hot. She assured him the chef had done as he requested. I went to the door of the kitchen, joined by my waitress, to watch the show unfold, and unfold it did. I watched with glee as he sliced the steak, took a piece on his fork and with a smug look on his face, he put it in his mouth. He took a chew and then realized his mistake. I saw it. That moment when his face changed, but he was trying so hard not to show it. He couldn't. He was on a date and he had bragged so hard and now he had to go through with it. He ate the steak. I could see every ounce of pain on his face. He struggled. He struggled hard. His date watched him with a slight smile on her lips and I got the impression that she was thoroughly enjoying his pain. He went through several jugs of water. He sweated. He barely spoke. He looked uncomfortable. At the end of the meal I came out of the kitchen and asked him if he had enjoyed his meal. His words? Could have been hotter. He never came back. His date? She became a regular and told us he was an insufferable fool and she never saw him again. I have no regrets other than I wish Carolina Reapers had been around then. A bee sting and a fire truck, when entitlement turns to embarrassment. In college, I worked at the front desk for a dorm. Most of the time, it was a chill job. I worked nights and just had to help the occasional drunk student after they lost their keys. However, once a year we had to deal with the worst of the worst, move out. Anyone that's ever experienced move out day knows the absolute sh*t show it is. During move out, the supervisor's schedule doubled the people at the front desk, so I had to work during the day. Our front desk was in the main community space for the dorms. Out front of the space was a super small lane that led to the parking garage. Everyone that needed to get to the parking garage had to use this lane. My whole shift was going fairly well, just small complaints about moving bins and our lack of resources for the summer heat. So far so good, or so I thought. Up walks this family, a mom, dad, and daughter that were clearly annoyed. My 3 other co-workers were busy, so it was up to me to help this family. Me, hi, what can I help you with? Mom, in a snippy tone, I was stung by a bee. I need some medical assistance. Now, as a student worker, the last thing I was allowed to do was provide medical care of any kind, couldn't even hand out a band-aid. Knowing I can't help, I reply, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. As a desk worker, I'm not able to provide medical assistance, but..." Daughter cuts me off impatiently. "You don't even have a first aid kit? Can't you just give us something to help?" I would have assumed they were worried about the mom's health, but at this point they sounded more upset that they weren't getting their way. Me, we don't have first aid kits because I'm not allowed to administer aid. If you'd like to get help, I would recommend walking over to health services. Daughter, sounding progressively more entitled and annoyed. "You want us to walk all the way over to health services?" At this point, all I wanted was for them to leave, but I couldn't say that. Me, there's also an urgent care and hospital right off campus if you're worried about a reaction. Mom, I'm not driving all the way over to a hospital, I just need help now. Can you call someone for help or something? Cue the malicious compliance. Normally I would call our non-emergency number for assistance, but this family clearly wanted quality care. Me, would you like me to call 911? I can see if they'll help. Mom, yes. Do something. So, I call 911. The operator asks about the emergency, and I explain it's a bee sting. Operator, are they allergic? I ask the mom and she says, "Well, no, but it's hurting." Operator, do they have tweezers they could use to pull out the stinger? I ask the family, and to this the daughter snaps, "Why would we have tweezers? Of course we don't have tweezers. What kind of question is that?" I relayed the message to the operator and let her know the family specifically requested medical care. She sighed, clearly annoyed by this non-emergency, and let me know she sent help. At this point my line is getting incredibly long, so I ask the family to step to the side. When I tell them help is on the way, the mom asks, "What are they sending?" Me, I don't know. Mom, well, I hope it's not a fire truck. That would be so embarrassing for just a bee sting. A few minutes go by, and I can tell the mom is starting to realize she may have overreacted. She tries to tell her family they can just leave, but the dad and daughter reminded her they are already sending someone. As they wait, up comes a massive fire truck, sirens blaring. All the other families at the front desk, which is a lot because this family held up the line, turn to see what's going on. The mom is absolutely mortified. She is looking around, trying to hide behind her family. It's hilarious. She meets emergency services outside, so they don't make a big scene in front of the other families. The best part? The fire truck had to stop in the teeny tiny lane out front our community center, completely blocking the way into the parking garage. This means a line of cars was building up while she got her bee sting treated. With each car joining the line, she looked more and more embarrassed. Once she was treated, they came back in to get to the daughter's dorm. They walked quickly and avoided eye contact, clearly embarrassed by the overreaction. I hope they've learned to stop with the impatience and entitlement. As much as I hate calling 911 for trivial things, it was worth it to see the look of sheer humiliation on the mom's face. And I like to think the operator was looking out for me and fulfilling my malicious compliances to the highest degree. Sure, sign me up. I had a few requests from my other post for this story, so here it is. Years ago, when XM radio was first starting out, I bought a satellite radio, installed it in my car and subscribed to their services, which I enjoyed as I traveled long distances often and hated stations cutting in and out. Sometime later, I sold the car, and the radio with it, and I called and canceled my services without any issues. About a month later, my fun began. I started getting a call about every 2 or 3 weeks wanting to know if I'd like to resubscribe to their services. They could offer me a 6-month discount, etc. I explained to them I sold the car and the radio with it, so I no longer had a radio. I was polite the first few times. Rude a few times after. Didn't even answer the phone sometimes. Threatened them with consumer affairs. Nothing seemed to work. But every answer was the same from me: I don't have a satellite radio anymore, and they all said they'd remove me from their call list. This went on for about 8 months until I changed my tactic. I was working on a project and the call came in, so I answered. The usual sales pitch started up with the guy wanting to know if I'd like to resubscribe for their services and could offer a welcome back discount. So I stopped what I was doing and said, okay, sure. Sign me up. He got happy and started going through all the options and upsells. And everything he tried to sell me, I said, yes, that sounds great. I chose the most expensive package and the GPS traffic updates for the navigation systems, etc. Whatever they had, I took it. He gathered all my details, address, email, all which they already had anyway. The whole process took about 20 minutes. Then came the part one was waiting for. XM, okay, we're all set, I just need the radio ID from your radio? Me, I don't have one. XM, silence, what? Me, I don't have a satellite radio. XM, so why do you want to sign up for our services? Me, I don't. XM, but you said you did. Me, I know. But for the past 8 months I've been telling you that I don't have a radio and to stop calling, but you keep calling. So I thought maybe you guys knew something I didn't. XM, unless you have a radio, you can't sign up for our service. Me, then maybe you guys should stop calling me. Never heard from them again. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.